Analyzing Telework, Trustworthiness, and Performance Using Leader Member Exchange, COVID-19 Perspective. Written by Dr. Michael A. Brown Sr., was published in October 2021 to address the changing landscape in the world of work. The COVID-19 pandemic drastically altered the operations of businesses and industries around the world. Through these shifts, there have been many challenges of adapting employees, business operations, productivity levels, technology, and more to meet the increased demand of teleworking. Through these challenges, not only were businesses forced to adapt, but a new wave of telework and its approach have been fostered. As companies and employees engage in understanding and addressing their work-life relationship, they often discuss work location, on-site versus hybrid versus remote work. Several experts in these areas have joined with Dr. Brown to demonstrate how trust is a major issue in these deliberations. However, employers and those they lead do not always recognize that the issue is trust, not location. This project attempts to shed a light on the notion that a number of these important discussions are more about trust than they are about location or process.
When I consult with organizations, we often have the on-site versus hybrid versus remote conversation. In those sessions, I don't support one approach over another. I recommend finding solutions that work for companies and employees alike. I continue to realize that we are talking more about trust than we are talking about location or process. I try to get the parties involved to see that instead of determining the best location for their work, their words and beliefs are not about location. They are talking about trust and engagement and interaction with employees. Addressing and managing these trust issues make it easier to decide location and process. This is a win-win approach that can lead all parties to shared understanding. This is very important.
First, I'd like to thank Dr. Michael Brown for the opportunity to work with him on this project, as well as to write the foreword for the book. In our discussions, it became clear that nothing was more critical to sustained, productive business operations than having the right conversations. There are two essential conversations, both completely based on trust, where you're going to see proportionately better outcomes with higher and higher levels of trust among the participants. Let me give you two examples. The first conversation I see is really among leaders. In our post-pandemic world, it's all about hybrid workplaces and the conversations about what work needs to be done and where it can be done. If leaders are honest about what work needs to be done and where it can be done, they will design a hybrid work environment that can work for an entire population of employees. The second conversation that's essential is that between supervisors and employees. And that is all about the expectations set by the organization about what kind of a hybrid workplace they want to have, as well as the expectations for the role set by the manager.
You know, in the military, trust between commanders and their troops is not just critical to the day-to-day success. It can also very often mean the difference between life and death, depending on the risk level associated with whatever the mission may be. And so with that, trust is a core component of any working or other professional, subordinate, superior relationship, really. And so when it comes to companies, managers examining if and how they may want to adapt or continue flexible or hybrid work options such as telework or remote work for their employees, the conversation should almost certainly shift back to the issue of trust. Because if an employee can't be trusted to get the job done where they're physically located, it's not really going to make a difference, right? If someone has to be micromanaged to do the bare minimum, then that supervisor probably doesn't trust that employee to get the job done when they're not under close supervision. And so trust works both ways.
When you think of remote or hybrid work environment, the conversations immediately go to employee flexibility, topics about health safety, maybe technology, and yes, culture. Yet a foundational element and what's at the heart of your workforce is trust. And without trust, you won't get to the specifics of where, how, when, and why people work for your company, whether that's remote, hybrid, or otherwise. In his book, Analyzing Telework, Trustworthiness, and Performance Using Leader-Member Exchange COVID-19 Perspective, Dr. Michael Brown moves the discussion to trust. More conversations need to start here and stay here. What I've experienced in my career is that all work-related roads lead back to trust, the trust you have in your employees and the trust they have in you.
Many organizations are dealing with post-COVID-19 work situations, but also those work situations that have changed because the world is changing. The experts in this project are talking about the ways in which trust is very often the driver in these situations. We look forward to helping you understand and build trust to achieve shared outcomes.